right. Before we get into marketing strategies and dive into it, I think it is extremely important to have a foundation for your marketing strategy. And often we tend to ignore the foundation and we jump into marketing. So I'm going to start with what needs to be the foundation of your marketing strategy for your image consulting business. So let's talk about number one thing, which is supposed to be your vision and your values of you as a founder and also of your business. And most likely in this case, what happens is that your own vision and your own values will most likely translate into your business. It is extremely important to think about where do you want to take your business and who exactly are you trying to serve. So having a vision, so I can give you an example, having a vision that renowned name for providing personal image and style solutions in a way that inspires and contributes to a success of our clients. And my personal values, for example, are integrity, respect, growth, and partnership. Now, I would highly recommend that everyone starts with a value and a vision in mind, because if you don't know where you're going and what your ultimate goal is, then it's very difficult to lay the path of marketing. So it's extremely important that we understand our own values first and be specific in terms of what is it exactly that you want out of your business. Obviously, everybody wants revenues, but revenues are driven by your values and the vision. It's extremely important that we take time to build this part first. Now, the second part is, once you've decided what your vision is, the second part is you may want to define what kind of solutions are you going to be providing to your clientele. Now, image consulting, I find, is a very vast field. So we're actually, in a way, coaches. We also sometimes have to be therapists. We have to be fashion stylists. We also have to be trainers. We also have to be etiquette experts. So it is so vast that people get confused. So market or your potential client normally gets confused about what is it exactly that you're an expert in. So extremely important that we then pin down what is our focus. Now your focus can be one or two things. I would never suggest the focus to be more than 3 specializations. You may be good at everything. However, it's important to decide what am I going to focus on, because that focus will drive your marketing strategy. If your focus is 5 things, it is extremely difficult and challenging to have a marketing strategy that will fit all of your 5 verticals or all of your 5 agendas. So I give you an example here in the screen where this is my focus. So this is just an example. It need not be your focus. Your focus could be something else. For example, my focus was corporate workshops, that I really wanted to address the groups. I wanted to address the groups about body language and success mindset, right? So that comes from my background. So I have a background in human resources and training. I have a background in NLP. So I think that that's my strength. So for any of you, you need to go back to your background. I think you need to go back to your background and do your work, your research in terms of what have I been doing for the last 10 years and what are my strengths. And then you will convert your strengths into your specialization. Let's say, for example, if you have a fashion design background or if you have a trainer's background, then you know that your strength, if you're a fashion designer, your strength is probably colors and styling. And if you are a trainer, then your strength is delivery or your strength is designing a curriculum, right? So based on whatever your strength is, you would come up with what kind of image solutions What kind of image management experiences do you want to provide to your market? So that's also another set. So first is your vision and what values are you going to bring in? Second is what kind of image solutions do you want to provide? So be very clear about these things, and I would highly recommend that you make, you could make a note of it, you could brainstorm it on a flip chart, or you could make a presentation. For myself, what worked very well is that I actually made a presentation for myself because it helps you get clearer about your objective. What is my purpose of being an image consultant? I think that answer has to be very, very clear before you jump to marketing strategies. So moving on, target market. Before we get to any kind of business development, it is extremely important that we go back to deciding who do we want to service, who do we want to provide consultation to. Market is really, really huge in India. It can vary from consulting an 18-year-old or even a 14-year-old going all the way up to maybe a 60-year-old. And that's just the age group. Then it comes to, that's just the demographics. Then it comes to psychographics, which means what kind of personalities or what kind of mentality of clients do you want to handle or do you want to help? So who in your target market is a very important question to ask. Do you want to focus on entry level executives? Do you want to focus on somebody who is climbing up the ladder, going from middle management to senior? Do you want to help someone who is trying to become a model? So upcoming models, that's a very good area as well. So grooming them. The other one is teenagers, somebody who is going from high school to college and preparing to be more independent. Immigrants, people who are actually planning to fly abroad. So there is a huge market. And if we don't know exactly what market are we going to tap into and who my focus client is, then your marketing strategy will be very vague and general. So the third step I would say extremely important is that you identify what your target market is going to be. Now, a lot of times I get questions about, well, isn't target market defining a very focused group, and that means that I'm limiting myself? My answer is no. You're not limiting yourself. You're defining who you're going to focus on. It is not possible to focus on a huge market starting from 14 to 60. You would have to build credibility and show a group of people that you are credible and expert in a certain area or dealing with a certain group of people, resolving a certain group of problems. So I highly suggest that you can get into a little bit of research, do a little research on what kind of clients would you like to talk to? How would you like to contribute in their lives? So for example, here for me, I did this analysis where I had corporate executives, then I have mid to luxury level retail brands, and then there is models, actors, and anchors. But I decided that my TG1, which is your primary target market, is going to be corporates. And that was an informed decision that I took because it aligns with my values and it aligns with my strengths and my experience. So what I suggest for you to do also is you can have brainstorm and have a list of target markets that you would like to work with. And don't limit yourself when you're brainstorming. You don't need to limit yourself. You can go all out and have a flip chart or a whiteboard and write down everybody that you want to help, everyone that you want to work with. And if it's celebrities, so be it. You write down, I want to work with Deepika Padukone, or I want to work with, Lisa Hayden, or I want to work with the CEO of, let's say, Myntra or Flipkart. So go all out. You're starting out small doesn't mean that you have to think small. You can think really big and you can dream about big things. That's where you will start realizing what is your dream and how will you get to it. Okay. So my suggestion to you regarding target market is do this exercise. Write down everybody you want to help and then divide them under categories. Are they executives? Are they homemakers? Are they models? Are they actors? Are they retailers? Are they business people? And then you go back to your values and your strengths and try to connect and align. You will align your values and your strengths to your target market. Ultimately, what I suggest is that you come up with two target markets, no more than two. One is your primary target market. For me, primary is corporate. My secondary target market is retailers. So for you, you would have to figure out what is my primary and what is my secondary. And your marketing strategies will depend on that. Moving on. So there are some foundational systems that you need to run a business. Any business, and this is not just about image consulting, but also any kind of business. For it to be successful, you need to have some foundations. And so if you don't have a foundation, developing a marketing strategy and going gung-ho about it will not get you the success. You need to have these systems in place first before you go forward. So I'm sort of preparing you before you get to the marketing part so that you are 100% ready when you get to the marketing part. Because marketing can be expensive. And expensive, when I say expensive, I mean in terms of money and time. You're going to be spending a lot of time marketing and developing your business. So you might as well be ready and prepared before you jump into it. So here are some of the foundation systems that you must have. So the very first one is your client management list, or a system where you're going to capture your client information. And this is extremely important. I can't emphasize this enough because I made these mistakes in the first few years of my business, that I did not have a system in place. I did not have a data management system. And it became really difficult for me to, when I wanted to send out the newsletters, let's say 6 months later or a year later, I wanted to send out a communication, a marketing communication, I had to pull in data from different sources. I had to go back to my physical style analysis file. I had to go through my emails. I had to go through my social media contacts and then aggregate everything into one system. To avoid this pain and to prevent this hard work, I would suggest that you have a system in place right away, as soon as you start your business. If you haven't already done it, what you could do is you can build it into your own blogs or your own websites, and just ensure that every time you have a client, you go through your website. So some kind of a registration system where you will register every client you meet. And that database will remain in your system forever. So you don't have to pull in data from 3 different sources. The second thing is your marketing presentation. Or what I would also suggest is, well, marketing presentation and your proposal could be an overlapping thing. So for me, marketing presentation and my standard proposal is the same. Also know who is your marketing presentation for. For example, my marketing presentation could be for a corporate. My marketing presentation could be for a training and development company. My marketing presentation could be for a media company or a public relations company who I want to hire. So be very clear about what is the purpose of your marketing presentation and then develop a presentation for yourself, which is handy and can be sent out to anyone that's asking for it. These are the systems that I would recommend you develop before starting the marketing activities. Then we talk about a speaker page. Now, speaker page is only relevant speaker page is only relevant if you are planning to be a speaker or you're planning to market yourself as somebody who would give seminars. Okay, so it's only relevant to you. So if it is relevant to you, then what I suggest is you develop a two-page document that talks about your profile briefly, and it also talks about three topics, three headlines of the topics that you will speak about. For example, power dressing. For example, how to look good without spending too much money. So, or wardrobe capsules. So whatever you want to speak about, you could decide about a very catchy title and decide on three topics. And in your speaker page, two-page, you will have your experience, you will have your education, credibility, and the three topics that you normally speak on. And then you will have your testimonial on the second page. And you will keep this ready so that you can send it out as your marketing strategy. Now, your website and social media pages obviously have to be up to date. And one thing that I highly recommend is check your social media pages every 3 months or 6 months. You review it. The reason being, often we tend to update information. Like I have done this in the past, that I've updated information on my LinkedIn, but I forgot to do it on my Facebook. So now my years of experience is just an example. My years of experience on LinkedIn and my years of experience on Facebook is showing differently. So your information has to be consistent on your website, on your Facebook, on LinkedIn, on Pinterest, and any other social media websites that you are using for your business. So ensure that you have consistent information, and that information does not reflect different values or different kind of information. Your online portal, yes. I'm sorry, I can hear somebody in the background. Do you have a question or can I continue? Okay, then I will continue. So you could have an online portal for styling solutions if you are into styling. Okay. And I'm saying that these things don't have to be ready right away, but you should start working on it. It can be in progress while you develop your marketing strategy so that you're very clear about where you're going. Your payment system. So if you have, if you're giving online consultations like on Skype, then your systems, your payment systems have to be in place, whether that is PayPal or it's online transfers, and these informations have to be ready so that your clients, when they ask for it, you're not struggling to gather this information or set up the systems. Also, the fifth step, I would say, is your strategic partners. So before we get to the marketing strategy, now that you know your vision, now that you know your values, you know your target market, you have your foundation system. The fifth step is to have your strategic partner list. What do I mean by that? Nobody in this world can run a business alone in isolation. For you to be successful, you need to have a network of professionals, network of colleagues, network of people who are going to help you build your business. Okay, so once you know your target market, you are going to look for strategic partners, people who are already running a business, who have your target market. And this process will expedite your business success. If you're going to work alone without developing a network, it's going to take you double the time and effort to attract your target market. However, if you do this homework and you sit down and think about, okay, this is my target market, this is my vision, who are the people who already have that clientele? So your strategic partners can be fashion designers, they can be a luxury spa salon, even lifestyle centers, for example, your gyms, For example, even the big yoga companies, because they focus on looking good, feeling good, and you could have some kind of a tie-up with them. Your dermatologists, corporate training and coaching firms. If you are planning to go on a path of workshops and dealing with corporate clients, these people are the best strategic partners. There are hundreds of training and development companies out there. You should do your research and see which ones are the ones that align with your value and that align with your target market. And then you would send them a marketing presentation and ask to partner with them. So that way, what you're doing is you are actually reducing your time and effort in marketing. Now you have sent somebody else the information, and let's say if you've sent it to 5 training companies, now you don't have to do the work alone. These 5 training companies are marketing for you. Always remember that when you're starting this business and you're alone, you start as one person or maybe even 2 partners. You have lots to do. You have to lay the foundations. You have to think of business strategy. You have to think of marketing strategy. You also have to develop content. You also have to upgrade your skills. So you want to be able to work smart and not hard. You want to be able to work very, very smart. So you want strategic partners who will talk about you. So while you are focusing on developing a curriculum, while you're focusing on helping a client, these 5 people, these 5 professionals are out there talking about you. So they're already spreading the word for you. And that makes a lot of business sense. So recruitment firms, if you want to coach executives who are at a senior level, what you could do is you could talk to recruitment firms and tie up some kind of a deal with them where they can actually promote you and you split the fees. Now, in terms of styling, let's say you want to do personal styling. Okay, so fashion designers and also a lot of retailers would be a very good strategic partner. So something that you need to think about is who are people who already have my target market, so I don't have to do the hard work and try to attract people. And then I can just partner with them and get the target market. Now let's talk about the marketing plan, finally. So for me, I see it this way. I see about 5 boxes for me to plan the marketing. Now, marketing strategy for image consulting, primarily in my experience, is successful by networking. You can spend money on advertising. However, ultimately, credibility is what will get you repeat clients, and credibility and trust is what will get you new clients. So it's word of mouth and networking is what has worked for me in India. I do agree that some amount of PR and some amount of visibility is extremely important. So I'm going to talk about these five areas that you can tap into, and depending on your values, your target market, you would have to decide what area is useful for you. The very top one that you can see is networking and signature talks. I find that this really works very well, and this works very well globally, not just in India. The fastest way to establish a credibility and trust in your target market is networking. Going out there, showing your personality and developing a relationship is what will get you the business. Something to keep in mind is image consulting is very, very intangible. There isn't anything tangible that we can show to our customer or our client. It's very intangible. It's a feeling. When a transformation happens, it's a feeling that they get. And that feeling is of elevation, right? But it's not something that they can see. Any service where you cannot measure it in tangible terms takes time to build credibility and takes relationships. So it is a relationship building business primarily. So the very top marketing strategy is networking. Now you can network in different ways. You can network in business networking websites, not just websites, actually associations. In India, you have something called BNI, which is Business Network International. You also have something called the Indus Entrepreneurs, which is Thai for entrepreneurs. Then there are conferences that you can attend. You can attend fashion conferences, you can attend Fashion Week, you can attend HR conferences, you can attend technical conferences, and all of these networking associations are very close knit. Once you get into them and you build relationships, they will start trusting you and they would want to help you because you are helping them. And one thing to remember, folks, is if we operate from a mindset that I want others to help me, then we should realize that they're probably expecting the exact same thing. And like I said, nobody can run a business alone. So it all boils down to operating from a mindset, having a mindset that I will help others build their business and they will automatically help you build yours. So having a mindset that we are building a community together and let's help each other get successful goes a very long way in getting a business and converting it into revenues. But if we go in with a mindset that what's in it for me, let me get business, give me business, it doesn't happen. Because people sense that you're not here to make a difference. People sense that you're only here to get. So to have a mindset to give and to be there and to build relationships will really help you become successful in your business. So you could be a speaker. Now, when I talk about signature talks, it goes back to speaker page. That's why I said have your speaker page ready. You can send your speaker page to different conferences, to SHRM, to NHRD, if you're in training, to Fashion Week, to TEDx, to smaller groups which talk about your kind of business. And you can give smaller talks there. Educate people about what you do. And when you educate them, you don't give out all the information. You give out enough information for them to be intrigued so that they come back to you for more work. Collaborators and partners. Like I talked about collaborators, your industry collaborators, your strategic partners are also extremely important. So this is the very top successful marketing strategy that I have worked on, and it has helped me get business. The second one talk about is advertising. So journalists, print ads, and radio. All of these options are expensive options. I personally feel that my experience is visibility is important, but you're already getting visibility if you're doing signature talks, and if you are networking, you are getting some visibility. Now, you could hire a PR company and do advertising for yourself. When you do advertising, you have to ensure that you are hitting your target market. That's why it's so important to think about target market and values first. So for example, if you go with print ads, let's say in newspapers, and your target market is young generation, let's say 18 to 25, they're not reading newspapers. So if you allocate funds to newspapers or magazines, but your target market isn't there, then you're wasting and burning your cash. So it's important to know who is your target market. Let's say your target market is women entrepreneurs. Then where do you need to advertise? It's something you need to think about. So you may want to advertise or sponsor an event where the women entrepreneurs show up. For example, there is an association called We Connect for women in India. Actually, it's international, but they also have an association in India. So if you want to connect with women entrepreneurs and then that is your target market, then you may want to sponsor an event or sponsor a conference and have your name and visibility there, as opposed to having an ad in newspaper or a magazine, which entrepreneurs don't read. You have to be very careful of what you pick. Then we talk about partner events. So when I talk about partner events, I'm talking about doing a combined event with your strategic partner. For example, with a salon and a spa, you could do a workshop on what colors suit you the best or what kind of styles look best on you. And you could involve the spa with giving them a smaller makeovers and ensure that you capture these things. Ensure that you capture them in some form of media, whether it's videos, whether it's pictures, and ensure that you're taking testimonials in an informal way. If you put it on a paper in a formal way these days, people are a little hesitant and they find it boring. So you have to think of creative ways to take testimonials. Easiest way to do it is you do it on your phone and you ask for permission and say, would you like to say something about your experience? And you record that video. And you can post that video on all of your social media marketing. And that stays with you. So that's one of the ways. The other way is your activity on your social media sites. So your marketing strategy would also, definitely this is a very important part of marketing in today's age. Everyone is on social media, but you need to know which social media sites are more effective and impactful for your work. For example, a lot of fashion designers or a lot of creative people tend to post and be active on Instagram. But then if you're a blogger, if you're somebody who likes to give information and not necessarily visuals, then you may want to be on a blogging site like a Tumblr or also a WordPress, and you may want to focus on your blog site. So you have to decide who is your audience and what kind of work do you want to portray and showcase. Based on that, you would decide whether you should be active on Instagram, you should be active on Tumblr, you should be active on Pinterest, where exactly is your audience. But it's definitely important to have identified at least 5 social media sites where you should be active. At least 5 social media sites where you're active. Now, definitely, Facebook is definitely one. Snapchat is coming up. It's becoming very, very, very popular. Instagram is extremely popular, but you need to do your homework and research and see whether your audience is active on Instagram or is it more active on Snapchat. Then you go to promotions and contest winners. So you could once in a while, let's say you can plan quarterly having some kind of promotion and contest for your own business. For example, I collaborated with one of the professional strategic partners, like a spa, and I was going to give out color analysis and a hairstyle makeover for them if they answered a few questions. Now, the few questions were related directly to image consulting. For example, the question could be, what kind of hair color is suitable for a warm or a cool skin tone? When they come across those questions, they will realize that they don't know the information. Right? So the questions have to be very cleverly designed. So they have to be clever and directly related to your solutions. Something that you need to trigger a thought in their head that they don't know the answers to these questions. And for them to know the answers to these questions, you are there. You can provide a solution. So you design a contest in such a way that it's attracting the audience to get intrigued and curious. You drive curiosity through your contest. And also ultimately at the end of the day, it is all about feel good factor, right? So when you drive a contest and they win something, it's a feel good factor, but ensure that you capture that feel good factor as a testimonial, as your promotional and marketing video. It is extremely important to capture it. If you do all that hard work and you don't capture it and you don't post it on your social media sites and you don't stir buzz, then it's a waste of effort. So those are the 5 things that I think you could use as your marketing strategies. And depending on what your target market is, depending on exactly where you want to be, you can focus on 1 or 2, and then rest of it becomes your background or your secondary marketing. So that's basically all that I have to say for today for marketing strategies. I would be very open to taking questions now. If you have any specific questions regarding the presentation or your own business, please go ahead and ask me. Folks, any questions from you guys? Is there any clarification that you need? Okay, looks like everyone is great.
Yeah, I'm also still waiting for the response. Thank you, Madhurika, first of all, for the wonderful presentation.
Thank you so much, Neha. I appreciate everybody's time, and I hope that you folks got at least 1 or 2 takeaways from it that you can apply to your businesses. Wish you all the very, very best.
Compiled.
Yeah. Madhulika, it's Venkat here.
Yes.
Yeah, hi. Thanks for the time and the presentation. I have a question with regards to the strategic partners.
Strategic partners, okay.
Can everybody go on mute except myself and Madhulika? Lot of echo in there. All right, thank you. So I just want to understand.
You can type the question.
Yeah. Now, how easy it is to tie up with these strategic partners? Because sometimes I feel that they see us as a threat.
Right. Yeah, good question, Venkat. I did experience a little bit of a challenge. I think it depends on who you want to partner with. So when you approach a strategic partner, your approach has to be more giving. What I mean by that is when I approach a strategic partner, instead of jumping to what we can do together, I would so divide it into steps. First step would be, I would say, I want to understand what you do so that I can help you with your business. Because I might have the clientele for you.
Okay.
Right? Okay. Yeah. So instead of going in and saying, let's do something together and, we could share clients. In India, I find people are not very open to that because they're very protective about their business. So the way to approach it would be, I think that what you do is really interesting. And I would like to understand your business so that maybe I'll be able to help you. Maybe I'll be able to find clientele for you. And then you start with that conversation and you genuinely understand their business because that makes sense for you. You really need to know whether that person really aligns with your kind of marketing strategy and target market. If they don't align with you, then there is no point in going forward anyway.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, thank you.
You're
one more question.
Yes.
You mentioned about the target group and also you mentioned retail brands are your target group as well.
Yes.
So how do you approach them? I mean, retail have a different sort of game plan. And how would you reach out again if you don't mind sharing it?
Yeah, so retail brands, they always are looking for ways to engage their customers and keep their customers. The reason is that today there are so many competitors out there for retailers, and also a lot of the business has gone online, like Myntra and Flipkart. The biggest challenge that retailers are facing today is how to get customers to buy undiscounted merchandise. Because if you look online, everything is slashed. All their prices are slashed and they're making very minimal margins. So when you know the pain point, then you'll be able to develop a solution for them. So what I normally do is I do my research on what kind of brands do I want to work with, what is their pain point. Okay, so for example, one of my biggest clients was Van Heusen. Like I mentioned it in the past. Their pain point was that they weren't known for women business wear. They were known for men clothing, but not for women. So my suggestion and solution to them was, well, why don't we do workshops for women? And we brand ourselves in such a way that there is business wear for women as well. And it's available in India. People just don't know about it. And people don't know the difference between a notch collar and a shawl collar and what is more appropriate for business formal and business casual. If you know the pain point of a retailer, then you can give them solutions based on that. Solutions could range from doing a workshop for their clients, their customers. It could range from providing personal styling consultation in their retail store. It could also mean being available online for their customers. They could run a contest. Instead of you running a contest, they can run a contest, and whoever wins gets a consultation with you, with an image consultant. And so their customer is not paying them. It's a reward for their customer, but the brand has to pay you.
That's a brilliant idea.
Yes, thank you.
All right, thanks, Madhulika. Those are the only questions I had.
Okay, you're welcome. You're welcome, Venkat. Everyone else is good?
Yes, Madhulika.
Okay, perfect. All right, folks, have a wonderful day and all the best for all of your businesses.
Thank you. I would like to thank you, Madhulika, for conducting the webinar, and all the participants. Thank you for your presence. I do understand we had a technical issue, but I'm glad the session went very well. Thank you all. Have a great day.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Ajo, Sunita. संडे पे छुट्टी नहीं मारा करो प्लीज। संडे का पिछले संडे पे आपने छुट्टी मारी थी तो कपड़े कोई तो करेंगे ना। वो कहाँ कर पिता को नहीं कर सकते। आप सैटरडे को छुट्टी मार दिया। सैटरडे मैं नहीं होती, मैं जा रही हूँ फिर। नहीं, मेरे को कल जरूरी है, लड़के भाई आएंगे इसलिए कल दे दो छुट्टी। आपने पिछले संडे को छुट्टी मार दी, अगले संडे को छुट्टी नहीं मारनी। मेरे को बड़ी दिक्कत हो जाती है सुनीता छुट्टी के साथ। मेरे वो लड़का वाले के संडे की छुट्टी होती है। ठीक है, अब एक दो बार तो ठीक है, अब ले रहे हो किसी काम से ले रहे हो तो वो ठीक है। हर बार संडे में संडे पे कभी करें, वही तो मैं परेशान हूँ कैसे मैं संडे को। वो भी उधर भी वही कर रहे थे संडे के। अब क्या करूँ, जरूरी काम हो।